Welcome to the Rotary Times Show, a public service program presented by Rotary District 7610, Virginia. On our programs, we talk with Rotarians and community leaders and discuss how Rotary International builds partnerships to support local, national, and world communities. I'm your host, Rotarian Dr. Deborah Jackson from the Rotary Club of McLean, Virginia. The success of a Rotary Club is dependent on the club president. They lead, inspire, motivate, and connect their communities with communities around the world. Joining me remotely is Rotarian June Kelly, who is the president of the Rotary Club of Great Falls, Virginia for the 24-25 Rotary year. Welcome, President June, to the Rotary Times Show.
Thank you. I'm pleased to be here, Deb.
Oh, we're just excited. You all up there at Great Falls, y'all stay busy all the time. Every time I hear about something in the area, it's Great Falls. So, I mean, that's a good thing, because that means you got a lot of content for us today, just knowing that you're out there working hard. Thank you.
Absolutely. We all work hard here.
Yes, you do. Oh, let's start out by talking a little bit about you. My audience likes to hear about the guests themselves. Can you tell us a bit about your journey and what inspired you to join Rotary and then ultimately to become the club president?
Well, I was raised in a family where my parents were always giving back, and so I just learned by example from them, and basically it felt like it became part of my DNA to just always be in the position of trying to do good for others. And in my job's not related to what I do in Rotary, but I'm a scientist with a master's and a doctorate degree. I write medical reference books that are published and distributed throughout different countries in the world. Mm-hmm. And then I also am quite busy with the different other activities I have. When I was raising my 4 children, for one, who are now all grown and out of the house. I married a military man, so even my husband was in a position of giving back to the country for 24 years. And so I think the two of us, with everything that we did, it met my goal to, show that kind of an example to my children, which was really important to me. So during the time that I was raising my kids, I volunteered first in schools extensively, creating programs in the schools. And this was all not, being paid for any of it. It was all volunteer. Also doing workshops and serving on boards. And then when they were grown and out of the house, then we moved to Great Falls. And I immediately joined, because my husband traveled a bit, I joined a large women's club that had a philanthropy component to it. And instantly I was drawn to philanthropy, which I led. It was a 2-year tenure, and I led it for the full 2 years. I grew it by 200% in 2 years. And the ladies and I just had a wonderful time. We forged wonderful friendships, but also did a lot for our community. So that was a real fit for me. During the time I was in philanthropy, I met somebody who was a woman who was in the Rotary Club of Great Falls. At that time, there were very few women in the club. When I joined, I was the 5th woman, and there were 40 men. So that gives you an example of how few women there were. But she invited me to a Discover Rotary event at another member's house who was also a woman. And that's where I learned everything about Rotary. I really didn't know a lot about it because at that time I thought it was still a club for men and did not really investigate it in the past. But I felt like this is exactly what I want to be doing next. So basically I immediately joined the club based on just that one exposure where I learned more about it and have not regretted it whatsoever. I also I was asked to be on the board shortly after I joined because of my experience with doing things for charities, and I welcomed that opportunity. I had the honor of being asked to be Rotarian of the Year, rather, in 21-22, so I felt very honored to be selected for that. And then very quickly they put me into the succession of becoming president, where you're first VP and then president-elect and then president, which I welcomed that opportunity. So that's how I became president eventually.
All righty. Well, first of all, let me say thank you to your family, to you and your family, for your service to the country. So often we forget about the families when we say that to our veterans, that there's usually a wife or a spouse or family members left at home holding down the fort. And having a daughter who is also married to military, I do understand. So thank you for your service, and just staying busy and modeling the way in your kids' schools and in the community, so they observe you doing exactly what good Rotarians do, and that's giving back. And then congratulations on that Rotarian of the Year award. That is amazing, so congrats on that one.
Oh, thank you so much, Deb.
Yeah, not a problem. For those who may not be familiar, talk to us now about Rotary and how you would define Rotary, and how your club itself, what would the community members say your club stands for?
Well, Rotary is a very large nonprofit international service organization, and I put the emphasis on service. I believe, I mean, I keep on hearing different numbers about how many there are, but when I last checked, it was either 44 or 46,000 clubs in the world. I mean, it's very large and has very high ratings. It's made up of individuals that just have the common interest in giving back. I mean, that whether you're a male, female, young, old, different cultures, like everybody has that common interest. The members of our Rotary Club, we make a difference in helping others in our community and in the world. We're a very active club. We formed starting in 2011, and we do 24 to 26 service projects a year, usually adding a couple of extra ones each year. So we're very active with that. And we're also equally active with, I mean, during the activity of doing service projects, and also in the fellowship activities we do, we're really good about forging friendships, and that's another thing that our members look for when they join our club. So there are a lot of friendships formed in our club.
Wonderful. What are a couple of signature projects you all are engaged right now?
I would say our biggest service, signature project, it's not necessarily the one that makes the most money, but it's the one that it's just been one of the hallmarks of what we've done, you know, early on, and that's called Oktoberfest. It used to be called Rotafest, you know, from taking on a little bit of the Rotary word, but nobody knew what that was when we advertised it, so we changed it to Oktoberfest, you know, which made it more descriptive. And this is the first year that we actually partnered with another nonprofit in our community in putting it together. In the past, we always did it by ourselves, but this year it was important for us to do more with other Rotary clubs, but also collaborate more with other nonprofits. And some of the ways we've done that is by, we became a community partner with the Science Center located in Loudon. And I was there during the launch of their expansion project, which is a 2.5 year project before they have all the modules built, but that's supposed to be phenomenal. So we now are a 10-year community partner with them. We also partner with the Grange Foundation, with the Lift Me Up therapeutic horse riding organization, and also with Fairfax Prevention Coalition, which deals with drug prevention.
Gotcha. You all do a lot, and I want to ask you, in the 24 to 26 projects that you all engage in every year, how do you as a club identify which community needs you want to work with, or initiative you want to put into place? How do you identify that individual, and how do you measure your impact?
Well, part of the way we identify it is very informally, where we actually go by what there's always somebody in our club that is very passionate about the different service projects. So a lot of times it's that person that brought the idea to us. But we also ask them to research it themselves first, and to present the board with a concept paper. So, you know, and we also research, we vet organizations through Charity Navigator and make sure that they're transparent with all of their accounting and things like that. But basically, it's basically a lot of it is through word of mouth, and then just going through the different processes and bringing it to fruition so that we can support them. And we've just seen, I mean, just helping them, it's just, you know, everybody feels so good about it, you know, when they see that. And the other thing we do is we ask, very often we ask the president or the CEO or the director of the organization to come and speak to our club so that the other members attending our meetings will hear about it, and it's not just the board. So that's another way. And then we do track it over time, you know, to find out how are they spending their money and the money that we donate, you know, that we raise for them. And so there are different things we do to keep in touch with them and decide if we want to continue each year with them.
That is wonderful, because that's often the challenge that a club would face. You know, how do they identify? Some organizations or clubs use the community assessment tool that Rotary has, and some do it the way you all are doing it. Pretty much that's the way my club is doing it, the way you all do it. Someone comes in as a champion or, you know, very passionate about a particular area. How has leadership of the club you know, enhanced you professionally or personally?
Well, I would say that it's really the same for me, both personally and professionally, that it's important to listen well and to delegate to others, not just consider yourself to be an island that you can just do everything on your own, but to know, to recognize and identify the talent of other people and their experience, and then to delegate, you know, and have everyone work together with everybody having their own sets of talents. I think you end up with a much better product.
Absolutely, and that's so good to hear, because I think oftentimes club leaders don't realize what they will walk away with on the back end in terms of their own learning just from being a club president for 1 year. And some have been there for more than a year, but just 1 year under your belt really gets you out there. So thank you for that response. We're going to take a short break and be right back and talk more with President June. Stay with us.
Possibilities are all around us. We see potential in unexpected places. And when we share our knowledge, vision, and connections, we turn great ideas into action in communities all around the world. Together, we can make real change happen. We're Rotary. We are people of action. Get involved at Rotary.org.
Welcome back to the Rotary Times. We're here talking with Rotarian June Kelly, the president of the Rotary Club of Great Falls, Virginia for the 24-25 Rotary year. Oh wow, you all are really doing a lot around service above self. Given that that's one of Rotary's motto, how does that principle show up in your activities that you have for the club?
Well, in all of our activities for our club, we always engage in service above self. And we do that consistently, really, with every service that we do. But in addition to that, it's very easy for the Rotarians to do that, because if you look at a Rotarian's day in the life of any Rotarian, you will see in their personal time that they also engage in a lot of service above self. For example, if they see a handicapped person or an elderly woman trying to get her groceries into the car, they will automatically extend themselves to help. Or if somebody, even an acquaintance, you know, is having an operation, they might make a meal for them or for their family. And I could go on and on with examples, but that's just natural for Rotarians to exercise that motto, service above self.
Absolutely. What's been your most meaningful moment as a club president?
I would say sharing time, a lot of time, because I spend, since we do weekly meetings and a number of projects, I mean, I am with Rotarians a lot, and sharing my time with people who have the same heart for giving back to others and recognizing the need for that. And it's not superficial, you know, it's deep and meaningful to a Rotarian. I would say that's invigorating to me. I would say that that gives me energy, and it's very exciting. You know, it's very exciting to see, especially when we see the end result of it actually making a difference and being impactful.
When we think about someone considering membership in Rotary, what would you say to that individual?
I would say that we really encourage everyone to apply. I would try to answer their questions. I'm sure they always have questions, because I've actually we lost our membership chair early in the year, and so I, along with a working committee I put together, we all took over the membership role. So I hear a lot of potential members asking, "Hey, is this just for professionals?" Because I'm not working, and I raised my children, and I mean, that was my work, which is very valuable work. But so they felt they weren't a fit, and I would say, "Oh no, you're absolutely a fit. You were an educator to your children. I'm sure you did a lot of volunteer work throughout the years, and you might be more of a fit than somebody who worked, in a particular job." So I try not to dissuade or discourage anybody from investigating Rotary, exploring it, and asking questions. But I would say everybody is a fit. When I first started in our Rotary Club, it was mostly older people, which we value them as well. Like we value the retired people for sure. But I would say that I like it when when it's more diverse in a lot of respects, different age groups, different cultures, like men and women. I like it when it's as mixed up as it can be, because I think everybody has their value that they bring.
Wonderful. You've talked about recruitment and how you bring those newbies in. How do you engage those that are there? How do you retain and keep members excited?
Well, once a month, and I don't know how common I don't think every Rotary Club does this, but I know every Rotary Club does some form of social activity. Once a month, we have something called Third Thirsty Thursday, which is a 2-hour event that sometimes we do it in a restaurant and sometimes we do it in a member's home, which I love. I love it when it's in a member's home, especially because it's more welcoming and inviting. But basically, those are really, really well attended, and in fact, our meetings are also growing in their attendance. So this year's been a fabulous year. I see a lot more people showing up. I see people really being engaged, and then we also, at the very beginning of the year, I put together a survey. I mean, I'm a scientist, that's my background, and so I just do things sometimes differently than some people do. And so I put together a survey looking for what do Rotarians want, what kind of trajectory do they want to see their club take. And one of the things that more members wanted was more fellowship. They already knew that they were getting a lot of service, but they wanted more fellowship. So we put together, and we couldn't take it out of members' dues, that has its place. So we put together a number of self-funded activities for potential members, but also for our active members. And we invite everybody to it. Sometimes it's Top Golf, trivia night, bowling, self-funded dinners, but everything's self-funded. And I was surprised at how well attended they were. And if we repeat them, then it's got like double the people that want to go. Right. So that's been a real plus.
That sounds exciting and sounds like fun, which is the fifth principle, right? Is it fun?
Yes.
Rotary is known for its global work, such as the fight to end polio. How does your club connect to the international mission of Rotary?
Well, as you know, they take a portion of everybody's dues out, like $50 annually, to help the fight to end polio. So we help in that respect. And then we also try to encourage people to join the Polio Society. We support the Strategic Water Alliance, and then also other global efforts as well.
Yeah, that Strategic Water Alliance, I think, is up to maybe 20 clubs that are a part of that initiative across Africa. So water, clean water, it's important. So we need to keep talking about that. How would you say your club is supporting the next generation of Rotarians?
Well, the next generation, I would say that, we have done Rotaract in the past, but we just don't have enough people in that age group that are interested. So, but we do have quite a number of people in the high school age that are interested that would fit into Interact. We have had Interact in the past, but this year when we tried to implement it, and because we had all the foundation, all the interest there, but the high school that we normally work with, they lost their principal for a period of time. And it's a very large high school, and they just weren't willing to do something like that this year. But we have everything in place for having it go off next year. And for the first time, we're starting to put the foundation in place for Early Act. I spoke with the principals of 2 different elementary schools, and this will be our first time in doing Early Act. We have the people identified to lead these things starting for the next upcoming year, but we feel it's better to launch it in the fall than at the end of the spring.
That'd be wonderful. Yeah, I do recall that the high school that you work with, they did lose their principal, and they now have a new principal, and you just got to get to that principal now and teach him about Rotary so that he can then turn his school around. But it's great hearing that you are thinking about Rotaract, or not Rotaract, but Early Act, that you're thinking about Early Act, because I think the earlier we can get, that is our future. That is truly our future, is those early actors. And our district governor, you may be able to get some pointers from her, because I think her kid's school is an early act location. So you may want to reach out to her.
I have spoken with Amelia about that, and
Perfect.
She has given me some very good pointers.
Yes, because I know she celebrates the fact that, you know, her daughters are at early act schools. So what do you think the future of Rotary looks like from your perspective, especially in terms of attracting younger and more diverse members?
I believe that young members attract young members. You get one of them in the club and they don't want to be the only young member there. They want another one and another one. You know, so basically as long as you can get the first couple of young members in, and we have, you know, then all of a sudden it starts to expand. So our club, in the last couple of years, especially this year, we have been getting younger members in, especially members that have very young children that are either starting to have their first or their second child, because they also, like I felt when I was raising my children, they also want their children to see how to give back, you know, and to actually see it in practice.
Okay, and that's so important. So thank you again for modeling the way, because people watched you. And we do have a number of young families in the Northern Virginia region that would benefit from being part of Rotary. What do you want the community, the greater community, to know about the heart of Rotary and the impact your club has had?
I would basically want them to know that engaging with our club in both socially, but also through service, because sometimes we have somebody who's not a member that says, hey, can I just do a service with you? And we, of course, invite them to. And also through fundraisers and through fellowship, that it really is truly transformational. I mean, it will change you. So like when you do this, especially if you do it regularly, you just feel like, you know, you've become a little bit of a different person, you know, the way when you are always helping others, which I think is a wonderful thing to experience. So I feel that our members have really made a good impact in a positive way to other organizations, and hopefully therefore have felt those ways that they're changing themselves as well.
I think you're absolutely right. And as you all continue to grow, because it sounds like you all are growing, that you will continue making more connections with clubs around it, and not necessarily across the entire Northern Virginia region, but just on our side of 495. It's nice to have those clubs in those areas connected, because about 5 clubs in the area, correct? That can connect to be able to do something that's even more impactful for the community. You know,
right, I agree.
Yeah. Well, I do want to thank you for taking the time to be here today with us and to share the Rotary Club of Great Falls with our larger community. You're doing some amazing work, and you're true ambassadors to Rotary. So thank you for joining us.
Well, thank you. It was my pleasure.
Yeah. Hopefully you'll come back again and update us on the 30 projects that you all engage in this year. It'll be wonderful to have you. Yeah.
Well, we'd love to hear what you're doing as well.
Okay.
Okay.
For the Rotary Times program, I'm your host, Rotarian Dr. Deborah Jackson from the Rotary Club of McLean, Virginia. You're welcome to join us at a Rotary Club in your area for either breakfast, lunch, dinner, or service project. You can find at a club near you by just looking us up on the internet. Many clubs are hosting meetings in person, virtually, or in some hybrid format. You only need to look us up for details. Remember, our time is your time, and it's time well spent. Please join us for our next program as we continue to celebrate Rotary's 118 years of service above self. Funding for this program is made possible by the generosity of Rotarian Lynn Heinrichs, State Farm Agency, McLean, Virginia.